Hey friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. Just wanted to share with you one of my winter hobbies. It's creating replica U.S. flags. I find that they're fun to build, that they can be quite a challenge from time to time, making sure that you can get them glued up just right. And I've run into some very interesting difficulties there. So stick around. I'm going to walk you through a couple of things that I find important about building the flags, and I'll see you right after the credits. There's an official U.S. flag dimensions recommendation, I guess, from the flag code, and there's standard proportions that are recommended or insisted upon in the U.S. flag code. The hoist indexes at 1. The length of the flag indexes at 1.9. The union is 0.5385, and the fly of the union, the length of the union, is 0.76. So they're all rectangular. Within that same scope, using the width of the flag being equal to the unit of 1, the diameter of the star is 0.0616. and the width of the stripe is 0.769. So when you try to put this into dimensional kind of lumber, you end up with a couple of different choices to make. It's got to be pleasing to the eye, it's got to be aesthetically correct, it's got to be the right size for your particular application. If you want to put it over your fireplace, put it outside on your shed, hang it in the kitchen as a conversation piece, whatever you want to do, you're going to want to use this kind of a guide to make sure that you can get the right kind of sizes so that everything is in proportion the way it should be. Based on some recommendations from another video, and I'll link to his videos down below here, the small size, so it would be the size that, let me go get it. This is the small size. It's 13 inches by 24.7 inches. So you can kind of round up, I think, and make it 25 inches if you need to. It's 13 by 25. The stars are going to be 0.8 inches across from tip to tip on the star. The width of the stripes are going to be 0.9997, so almost equals 1. So for this, you get a 13 by 25 flag. This size works great. The bigger size is the one that really is, I think, a little bit more popular. It's the one that you can put over your fireplace. It's the one that you can put on your shed outdoors. It's the one that I think most people are really looking for if they want to display the American replica flag. And that's going to be 19.5 by 37. It's actually 37.05, but 37 works just fine. So it's 19.5 by 37. That makes the star 1.2 inches, and it makes the width of the stripe 1.4999. So you round up, it's 1.5 inches. So each one of the stripes is 1.5 inches. Very easy to work with, very easy to deal with. You can buy 1x4s, the number 1 grade 1x4s, and cut them down to 1.5 inches and come up with stuff that's really going to look nice on these kinds of flags. I've been using 2x4s. I cut them to 37 inches, and then I rip them down in the table saw so that I get slats that are 3/4 of an inch thick and 1.5 inches wide. And then I separate them, I pre-assemble it, separate it, mark them, stain them red and white on the stripes, and then do the blue pattern, the union, at the very last step in the process before we glue it up. Here's some of the templates. This is the normal 50-star pattern. And the thing is, if you're going to be using one of these templates like this, you got to make sure that you got the point of the star pointing up. Yeah, it's very easy to flip this thing over and have the points going down, and it really does kind of look funny when you do it that way. I've done one that way and had to kind of say, oops, oops, oops. So, but that's the deal. I just kind of mark it and say top here so that I know where the top is. It gives me a double check to make sure that I've got the stars aligned the right way. Here's the Old Glory 1776 pattern. I think it's really a nice looking pattern for this. This is the one, I use this template for the flag that I did, the replica flag that I did for our church yard sale, the church auction, and I think it went for $75. So it's not too bad for the cost of two 2x4s and a little bit of stain and a couple hours of my time. Yeah, pretty nice stuff. The smaller ones, for the smaller type flags, you can get the smaller templates like this that work just dandy for, see, get the star points going up, works just dandy for however you want to do it. You can spray paint white through this template, or you can use this, trace it out, and cut it out with either a router or some kind of rotary tool that can chip away at the stars. And I've done that. It's kind of tedious, kind of time consuming, but it does have a nice effect. Then you've got the options on whether you want to put some relief into it, put some burn marks on it, I guess, for lack of a better term, to stress it a little bit. You can take a propane burner and kind of run it across back and forth until it starts baking the wood itself. I'm still experimenting which way really is best, whether you distress it with the propane burner before you stain it or after you stain it. I'm not sure it's going to make a whole heck of a lot of difference. I've tried it both different ways, and I think it's going to work out better if, it's going to be up to you, but I think it's going to work out better if you distress it with the flame first and then stain it. Because what I found is if you stain it first and then distress it with the heat, that you can burn the stain. And it kind of looks funny. It'll bubble up a little bit. So you got to kind of be careful with that. I'm going to be working on the union, getting that stained up here, so stick around. Here's one I put together. It's the smaller size. I used two different kinds of wood. The darker stripes are cedar and the light stripes are pine. And all I did was apply on the cedar just a little bit of dark walnut Minwax stain on there. I burned the union area and then applied the regular 50-star pattern in the union, and I think it turned out pretty much okay. The other one that I did is a standard American flag pattern with the blue union background. I traced out the star patterns from the template and carved them out with a Dremel tool, and I think it sort of looks okay. The stain the red and the white stain on the stripes came right from the Minwax stuff that I've been traditionally using. And it was just a matter of gluing it up, putting it together. I made a couple of these. One of them I gave to my grandson. The other one is going to my other grandson, this one here, and the wooden one, it's basically the two different kinds of wood, the small ones there, are going to be hung up in our living room, just so I can say, yeah, there it is. Here's the wood stain that I've been using. It's water-based Minwax wood stain, and they can pre-mix they can mix up custom colors. What I had them do, based on the recommendation, was to use their pre-done navy blue dye tint, their crimson, which is the red, and it really does show up nice, and a can of the base white for the white stripes. So the Union background is the navy blue, and it's very rich. It's quite a wonderful blue color. So first step here, what I've done is I've taped this seam here where the blue Union would be on this side and the red and white stripes are going to be over here, and I taped the edge after scribing it with a sharp knife so that I could get a pretty clean break between the red and the white stripes and the blue background. So I'm going to be removing the tape from each one of these. There it is. Seems to make a pretty clean break there. So I put the second coat of the navy blue Minwax wood stain here last evening, probably 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and did not take any snapshots of it or any movies of it. But today I pulled the tape off, done a little bit of touch up on, there's a little bit of overrun on some of the edges there, but it was probably only just an inch or two here or there. So I touched that up with a light brush in the right color stain, and now I'm going to glue it up. Simply use Titebond, the regular good stuff, outdoor interior and exterior grade glue. It really does work pretty good job. I got the clamps all lined up and ready to go, so here we go. So there is the finished product. Altogether, I'd say I've got about 3 hours of my time wrapped up in this, from picking up the lumber, cutting the stripes out of the 2x4s, getting them stained up, organizing things, getting them glued up, putting the star pattern on. There's 2 little backer boards that go on the back that kind of nail it and kind of keep it together so that it can be mounted exterior. What happens next, be nice if I already had this out ready to go, is the Minwax polyurethane coating for the exterior application. I know this is going to be outside, so this is absolutely imperative to have this, a couple of coats of this, probably 3 coats of the poly on the exterior, just to preserve it and make it last forever. I had a ball doing this. It's really the funnest kind of activity that I can think of on a cold, dreary winter's day. This has just been my kind of fun. This is the Prepared Suburbanite, reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you on the next video.